growth, mindset, they go together, especially in business. Of course, in all of life itself, but a lot of it in mostly in business. If you want your business to grow and do things, you have to have the right mindset. You can't have a defeatist mindset. And I have today on the Bow Live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, Helen Vella-Basilone. Did I say your name right?
Absolutely got it right. Yes.
Oh, Helen, I'm glad I did that because I have trouble with it. Anything that doesn't have one syllable, like my name, I mess it up.
No, exactly. Lots of syllables. I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you do that. You How long have you been in business with this sort of coaching mindset here that you have?
For myself, just over 20 years.
Mhm.
But when I worked in corporate, I still did it to a fashion in corporate. So if you add it all together, it's a long time, over 3 decades. Mhm.
Wow.
Yes.
And you hail from, am I guessing England?
Well, I'll give you that. I was actually born in Scotland, but
Scotland.
I lived in England for a number of years, but I also lived in Australia for 10 years. So
Oh,
the accent can be, some people pick up Australian, some people pick up British. So I'll give you English. It's okay.
well, I'm a Doctor Who fan and I'm a David Tennant fan, and he's from Scotland. So
There you go.
I like that. So,
Yep.
um, tell us exactly. We have the website scrolling on the bottom, hvella.com. What services do you provide to help in that growth mindset?
Basically, I help people achieve clarity to help them overcome their obstacles in their lives and their businesses.
Mhm.
So we face challenges every day, whether it's in personal life or business life. And it's giving them tools to be able to overcome those challenges and not let the challenges pile up all the time. Because once we do that, then we don't become objective, our mindset changes, and we go into a fight or flight type of mindset. So I help people realize what they're doing consciously as opposed to being just drifting through and doing things from memory and unconsciously working through what they're doing. I make them consciously aware of their habits and their processes so that they can change them to more resourceful, more positive ways to help them get where they want to be. Does that make
So
sense?
it makes perfect sense. So a lot of times, your clients are too close to what they're doing to realize that they're stuck somehow, and
Yes.
their processes are. I guess they're working because they're doing business, but they could be a lot more efficient, and they probably feel stuck and don't know why. Would that be a fair assessment?
Absolutely. It's like everything. If you're trying to solve a problem, you either need to take a break and take a walk, or you need to share the problem with someone else.
Right.
And then you go, oh, why didn't I think of that? Right? You have it. We get so involved trying to solve the problem that we get stressed and we get anxious, and then we're not looking at the problem, challenge, whatever it is, objectively. We're looking at it emotionally, and then we just get worse into it.
So
Yeah.
how do you get clients? Do people come to you, or do you solicit them, or probably a little of both? I would think.
Um, every single client that I've ever had has been a referral from someone else,
Oh,
either a current client or someone that I know that knows what I do. Most of the time, which is why I do a lot of networking. I've and this just works for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but me personally, um, once I meet someone, and that's how I get my clients, or
okay.
someone will refer me their client, that someone they know.
Uh-huh.
Advertising and social media, all that sort of thing. The type of thing that I do doesn't actually translate as well because it's not a product, it's a service.
Yeah, right.
And because it's such a large mindset, emotional type of thing, a lot of people, I know that there's a lot of people talk about anxiety, depression, and stress right now, but a lot of people don't want other people, especially their business associates or their clients, to know that they have this challenge going on. So it's not something that people actually share a lot in the open market. So
Mhm.
all of my clients I've got through my in-person meeting or a referral from a current client.
So I do have to ask a question, and it might be a common question because I've asked this of other guests on this show. When you first onboard a client, what is that first conversation like when that you have? What are the questions that you discovery questions? I suppose they would be called. What do you what's that like?
Okay, so I used to do my discovery over the phone and then have the session with my clients.
Right.
And usually what happens is because we're looking at, I have this challenge and I'd like to overcome it. So whether that's team building, communication, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, if I do an onboarding questionnaire, by the time we actually get to do the work, this situation has changed. The
Mhm.
mindset has changed. The how they look at the situation has changed. So usually, how I work is, what is it that you would like to achieve
Mhm.
from what we're going to do? And then I try to see where it is that they would like the end result to be. That in itself tells me volumes, because most people, when you ask them, what do you want? They will answer back 99 times out of 100, I don't want this, I don't want that, and I don't want this. They never actually know what they want. They only know what they don't want.
I see.
So the onboarding is absolutely personalized to each person. It's
Okay.
not a cookie cutter at all.
Good. Good. So everything is customized to the
Absolutely.
individual's needs. Now, I would imagine you run the gamut everywhere between solo entrepreneurs all the way up to CEOs of companies with 300 or 400 employees or something like that. So, is that true?
I tend to work with solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, individuals, couples.
Couples.
I do a lot of divorces or separations, or people that are trying to
Mm.
not separate, and small businesses with families. So a lot of
Oh,
family businesses, because there's a lot of challenges within family businesses because
oh,
of the fact that the family. So
yeah.
there's the family history, and then you've got your business, and then you've got, how do we transition the generational gap, and how do we transition taking over, introducing new technology. We've got the older people. So I do a lot of things with that side of the business. So I don't tend to go for big companies anymore. I used to
Hmm.
in my younger days, but I don't now. I like to stick to small family businesses, or people that have got smaller teams and work with those teams.
Sounds like there'd be a little more. I mean, yes, it's always good when you solve a problem for a big company, but it must feel good to, make some dynamics work in a family business that weren't working before or was very stressed. That's got to be a good feeling for you and it sounds like you have a passion for that particular aspect of it.
Yeah, because behind every business is a human being, and it's the human being that runs the business. And the
Right.
human being runs the business from um, their programs that they have within them. You can learn how to run a business, you can learn how to read a balance sheet, you can learn all those, how to buy the best products. But if you've got things going on that are affecting you uh, from the past or even the present, then that affects your decision making process. So you can make decisions from prejudices, from programs that you were given in your younger days,
Hmm.
and sometimes it's not the best decision to make. And that's where I come in and help people understand how they're making those decisions. Because a lot of times, especially in family businesses, if you've got siblings and parents, a lot of decisions are made through jealousies, or, he can't do that, I want to do that,
Emotion.
selfishness and things like that, emotional things. So it's trying to help people, well, not trying, it's empowering people to understand where they're coming from, and to have those boundaries of, okay, this is when we talk about family, this is when we talk about business, and this challenge we've got in the family doesn't come into the business, and this business challenge doesn't come into the family. So it's a lot to do with boundaries, a lot to do
Wow.
with boundaries.
Yeah. That's a difficult thing because a lot of times the family members, some of them or all of them will live together. So it's like 24/7 family, which
Yep.
is on the surface may not seem like a bad thing, but if you're in business, yeah, you're right. You make decisions based on emotion, like, hey, I'm better
Yeah,
at that than he is or she is or whatever. So yeah, that's
exactly.
interesting. So that in itself has to be a challenge, and I'll bet you've had some people in your whether it's in person or on virtual that were disagreeing with each other, and you were kind of in the middle. I'm guessing
Yeah,
that's happened.
mediate. Yeah, yeah. I mediate a lot. Yes.
Yeah,
And also you have partnerships that are not families. You have partnerships that are friends. You know,
yeah,
friends sit around brainstorming and they come up with this idea and they form a business. And then, you know, partway into the business or years into the business, there's lots of things going on. So yeah, it's not only families, it's friends also. And I've dealt with that situation, you know, people splitting up the partnerships to go off their separate ways because they've both had different ideas over the years.
right,
So that is something as well. I mean, obviously there's the legal aspect of it,
right.
but there's the emotional aspect and the again the you're not having this, I'm having this type of thing, and why should you get this when I did that, and that was my idea originally, and you know, so you get all of those things too. So yeah,
So
but it's great when it works.
I'll bet you're good at it. You just seem like you are.
Thank you, thank you.
um, what credentials do you have? I mean, what? No, no, let's not forget that. I got a better question. What inspired you to do this kind of work? What was the inspiration, the drive behind it?
Two things. One was ever since I was young, everybody would share with me their deepest, darkest secrets. You know, complete strangers would tell me things and they'd say, I don't know why I'm telling you. I've never told anybody this before. So I have this knack of people sharing things with me and being able to empathize and help them through that. And then also, the brain has always fascinated me as to why the brain is not used to its full capacity. So I've studied the brain for many, many, many years.
Mhm.
And that led me to understand a lot of the things that we do and how we do them, which also then led me to be, you were talking about credentials, to be certified in neuro linguistic programming, which
Right,
is how you do what you do. So NLP has a NLP sort of was, oh my God, that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I need to know
right,
because I've studied this. So what I did was the part where everybody tells me all their secrets, and then the NLP part is it just worked together because they would tell me things and then I was able to help them overcome it and give them the tools to be able to move forward without having that challenge there. So that's why I got into it.
wow. Because you have the knack. Really, is where it started. You have the knack
Basically.
for that happens a lot. I have to say that happens to me too. People will tell me things. It's like I barely met them, and I'll start hearing about family squabbles and this and that, and it's like, wow, okay, okay. And then all of a sudden, I'm a friend. So I can very much
Exactly.
relate to that, for sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you've been doing it. You said this kind of thing for about 30 years. You said
Yeah.
three
Plus, yeah.
decades. Oh
Yeah.
wow! Then you've probably seen a lot of pretty much every situation that can exist is probably you've seen it. I'm sure.
I say to my clients, there isn't a lot I haven't heard. No, yes, you know, it's pretty scary, some of the things I hear.
I'll
Yes.
bet. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, as far as where you're headed, I mean, this obviously is going to be something you do until you decide to retire, I suppose.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. What else? What else do you like to do? I mean, what are your hobbies besides this?
Reading. I like to read and I like to walk on the beach. The beach is my favorite place. I love the ocean.
Yeah.
I get a lot of inspiration from the ocean just watching it. So I go to where I live in Hollywood, Florida. We have a beautiful boardwalk, and it's right on the ocean. So I walk on the boardwalk, and I love that. So I like to do that. I like to read, and I don't have that many hobbies anymore
Hmm.
because my reading takes up most of my time. I don't read novels or anything like that. I read psychology, philosophy, stuff to do with the brain,
Sure.
communications, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there's always something to learn, always something to be able to keep
Wow.
up
Yeah.
with, or all that
So
sort
you're
of thing. So
constantly keeping up
constantly,
and learning and all that. So
always,
keeps your brain active.
always.
And because I have a life, I got to tell you, I have a life goal to be 100 years old. I want to live to be 100. And
Yeah, me too.
you have to keep that brain going, and you have to be
Yep,
healthy too. And I'm working on that myself. But let's get
absolutely.
on another thing altogether. You mentioned earlier something about networking, and you do a lot of that. Networking is how you meet people, get clients eventually, and just basically let people know who you are and what you do. And you would
Yes.
say would you say that networking has helped you a lot? I know it has for me.
Absolutely. I've been networking 25 probably years.
Mhm.
And most, well, all of my business, except for my client referrals, comes from networking.
Mhm.
And what I did was I set up a lot of networking groups in my previous years that some of
Right.
them still run today. And I also wrote a book about how to network and how to do it effectively,
Okay.
because a lot of people go to networking events and don't actually know how to network to make it effective. So
Network.
I
Mhm.
network all the time. And now I network virtually, which we've all been doing for a while. And I find that even more effective because people that are coming are okay, this is what we're doing. And then from the networking, you follow into your one-on-one. So I have a
Mhm.
one-on-one, and I make appointments to meet people. And again, we do that over Zoom for half an hour or so and get to know people. And that's where you can
It is.
collaborate, you can get
It's
to know other things.
it's a time saver. You're not driving and
So much
all of that.
time.
So and it's like you can show up 5 minutes before the 2 minutes before the
Exactly.
session. Okay, is my coffee hot? And then you're ready to
Exactly.
go.
I know. Exactly. Quick change, do the
Yeah,
next
you don't
thing.
even have to look. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah,
You know,
whenever I'm in public, I had the bow tie on and on Zoom and whatever, but not all the time, not at home. I met you through a networking group here in upstate New York that's run by Christine Smith, and I know
yep.
now that you are what do you what's the position you have?
I
Um,
don't know.
what's it
I
called?
lead one of the
You
groups.
lead one of the groups, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's one that I've been in for a while, but you took over, and I'm like, hey, wow, somebody new. That's pretty cool. So I'm glad to have met you here.
You
Um,
too.
so you would say that networking has done you a lot of good, and
Yes.
just a shout out to Christine Smith and Ripple
Hmm.
Effects for that.
Absolutely. That's one of the places that I do network. Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
How many other places do you network?
I'm heavily involved with my local chamber down here.
Mhm.
So I run one of the leads groups in the chamber. I also network with the global networking group, because obviously my business is global, because I've always done my my sessions and everything over video conferencing anyway.
Yeah,
So I've got clients, in Europe and in the UK. So I network on another group that meets globally. And then I also network on another place that also, they don't hold networking groups. What you do is you go on there and you pick an area or a type of business or something you want to meet, and then they match you and you do like a one-on-one. So
nice,
I do that also. So
nice.
that's, I've met some very interesting people in Dubai, in Ecuador, in Ethiopia. all over the world. You meet
Wow.
people, and then you connect with them on LinkedIn, and then they are part of your LinkedIn connections also. It's
LinkedIn
really
is
good.
very important. I should bring that up too. LinkedIn. You're on LinkedIn, obviously, and that's a great place to network just all by itself.
It
And
is.
and how many connections do you have on LinkedIn yourself?
Oh, I don't know, over 7 or 8 thousand, I think.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
more
sure.
than you got more
Yeah,
than I do. You have more than me.
I've,
That's cool.
you know, it's a great place for business networking, because when I moved to the States, I was networking with people in the States deliberately so that I could have connections when I got here. So
Right.
already, as soon as I landed here, I already knew which networking groups to go to. I already knew some people, and I knew the areas that were the right areas to have businesses or to live
Mhm.
in. And that was all through LinkedIn also. And I was doing that from London and
Mhm.
connecting with people in the US. And then I flew out to meet them and have networking and all that sort of thing before I actually bought the properties and decided where I was going to live. So
Wow.
it's a great opportunity always.
Wow. Well, I could pick your brain for another hour and we wouldn't repeat things. But if anybody has any questions for Helen, it's been a little quiet on the comment front, but if you have a question for Helen, we can certainly get that in right now, just either on LinkedIn or wherever you happen to be watching from or listening from. I do want to ask you a couple of questions before we part, and they have nothing to do with anything we've said so far.
Okay.
What is your favorite movie?
I've got to say, and this is going to show my age, ABBA, the movie.
The
It was,
the musical group?
yeah, with Meryl Streep.
Hmm.
you know, Absolutely amazing. And I must watch that. I've probably seen that movie 100 times. And it's one of those movies that you can put on and you don't specifically have to watch it because the music is so great.
The
And it
ABBA.
really puts me in a good mood and sets me up. I love
Well,
it.
every
It's
song
my
they did,
favorite movie. Yeah.
every song they did, Dancing Queen, Take a Chance on
Yeah,
Me, uh,
exactly.
Knowing Me,
Yeah.
Knowing You. There's a bunch more. And
Yeah,
then a couple of them went off on their own. Frida,
they did.
what was that? There was a, wow.
Bjorn, Bjorn, I think the boys went off on their own, didn't they?
No, there was
And I
a
think
solo from one of the women, and I can't remember the name of the song. It's in my head.
Oh, I don't
I used
know.
to DJ too, and I used to play it.
Oh, right. I don't
So
know.
anyway,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
If you had, seeing as you're from Scotland, I can show this. See this Doctor Who thing? Uh,
Oh, yes,
if
yes,
you
yes,
had one of
yes.
these police boxes, or maybe that
Okay.
DeLorean from Back to the Future, and you could go back and talk to somebody who's not alive anymore, and you can only visit one person, and it doesn't have to be anybody famous. Who might you go back and visit?
I think I would like to go and have a conversation with Queen Victoria.
Hmm.
She my grandmother was born in 1900, so she was born in the Victorian times, and I was always
Right.
fascinated with some of the things that my grandmother grew up with. And I would love to be able to, I like the Victorian times. So Queen Victoria would be someone I'd like to have a chat with. Yeah.
Wow. Nice. Two great
Oh,
answers. There's never a bad answer when I ask those questions. I ask
there
it.
is a no.
It's so fascinating. Helen Vella-Basilone from Hollywood, Florida, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time today and your wisdom. And by the way, I'll just say this live. I'm going to repurpose this broadcast. It's going to become a podcast in 2-3 weeks, so it'll be more coverage for you. But in the meantime,
Excellent.
I'll do this that I do to everybody now.
Of course. Can I do
Leonard
it?
Nimoy
Yes.
thing.
Yes. Thank you, Chris, and thank
My
you for having me on the show. I've enjoyed it so much. Thank
so
you.
have
And I
I.
love the bow tie today too.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, supposed to be a sunny blue thing,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
counteract the clouds.